Hi and welcome to my Playhouse. And today, by request, I'm gonna have a look at this SAN. It's a NetApp SAN that I picked up in Sweden 1.5 months ago by now. So on request, I'm gonna go through whatever I know about this SAN, which isn't that much, but I have picked up a little bit along the way. So let's see what this NetApp SAN is. Okay, here it is. This box is the NetApp controller, and the other boxes are like the storage boxes with all the drives in them. There are 3 of those. These are each one. There are 24 drives in each of them, so a total of 48 drives right there. And right here is the older one, and that has, how many does that? 14 drives. It starts at 0, ends at 13, so 14 drives. These drives, the top one here, there's a bit of dust there. They are SAS drives, and they're 600 gigabyte SAS drives. 24 of those. Has a nice connector there. Should be a good serial attached SCSI drive. SAS. It doesn't say 600 gigabytes anywhere, but I do believe that, well, it actually says it right there, 600 gigabytes. So that's probably true. 24 of those. And the bottom one here, these are 2 terabyte SATA drives, Hitachi, and it has a little print here on the back, and I'm pretty sure that converts the drive from ordinary SATA drives to for the controller and backplane inside to be able to use it as a SAS drive. So a little bit of converting going on right there. And the last one here, let's just take a random one. These are 300 gigabytes, but they are FC fiber channel drives, so not a connection we see very often. System requirements, blah 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 blah. Okay. So the idea of the controller is that is a dedicated server for controlling the storage. So if you just look at this as a server, it makes things a lot more simple. So we have a server and we have 3 boxes, which could be thought of as dashes, which means direct attached storage. So, but in a SAN like this, you kind of see it in a different way. So let's just check this, and there's not that much going on the front of this. If we look at that, it just has 3 fan blowers on the front here, and they are at least dual fans, so 2 fans sitting in here helping each other. And if we look inside, well, there's a cover that goes down, so if one fan is pulled out, it's not gonna push air in that way and go out that way. That would also be stupid. So they have put a bell in there so that the air will go to the back. Very nice system, and it has a nice cover up like that. On the back, oh, there's a bit of LEDs on these, and also I do believe we have some LEDs to tell the status of the system when it is running. These are rather heavy, 50 kilograms. I really like these handles that this one has. That's really cool. Very well made. On the back of all these boxes, there are so many plugs. As this is a kind of a server that maintains everything. It has two modules. This is a redundant system. It kind of have one storage server here and another storage server here. You can kind of see that these are identical, like that. Also, it has a power supply on each side that we can take out. I have had these out and they are very, very big. This is a big power supply. So, and it's 800, where did it say that? 891 watts. So that's actually not that much. Let's put that back in. It's a very long power supply. There. Also, these modules, which is the servers itself, they come out as modules as well. So we might just take one out. And this is kind of like a little server. There is one processor in this. There's room for one more. I don't even know what socket this is. Does it say? Not really. Seen on the specs that this module comes with 8 GB of RAM. I'm guessing that it has been expanded with some more RAM, and these blocks look exactly the same. So it came with 8 GB, so my best guess is that right now it has 24 GB, but I might be wrong. Well, yeah, I might be wrong about that, because this one has no chips on the other side. These two has chips on the other side, so well, they might be bigger than that one. Okay. Also, it has battery backup over here for if the power goes out. Lithium ion cells, I'm pretty sure. Lithium ion there. 5 amp hours of power sitting right there to make sure to save data coming from other systems and going down to the disk arrays over here. Also, there is expansion ports. That's a little blue thing here we can remove. Looks very IBM with that color. Looks like something IBM could have built. And there is a couple of expansion cards in there. You can see that. Now if we look on the back of those, we can also see what kind of expansion cards that is. The top one is a dual 10 gig Ethernet card. The bottom one is a quadro 4 gigabit HBA card. I actually have one of those laying right over here. It's a QLogic QLE2464. I went on eBay to check out this card, what it really was, and well, the first price I got was that someone was charging $1,000 for this one. So it's a very pricey card, I thought. Then I saw further down in the suggestions that I could get this card from anywhere between $10 and $1,000. Apparently there's not much of a market for this card anymore. 4 ports of 4 gigabit Ethernet, not that popular anymore. Now it's 8 or 16 gigabits. That is the expensive cards. So I got this card as an extra. But as I am a curious thing, I really want to see what kind of a processor there is in here. So I'm gonna remove the heatsink just to check that out. I'm expecting a lower frequency one, not the highest end processor, but I have no idea really. This product is from 2010. So what do we have? We have an Intel Xeon E5220, and this is a 2.33 gigahertz processor. I do believe this is a dual core, and it's actually rather slow. So this processor is from back in 2008, it seems. It scores about 2000 in the benchmarks. It might be possible to put in a quad-core CPU if the system board and stuff like that can handle that. It will be possible to get a CPU that is 2 to 2.5 times as fast as the one that is in here. So let's put the heatsink bed on and screw that down. I just had a little look at the memory blocks here, and it seems that this first memory block is just 1 GB of memory, and it's DDR2 5300 RAM, 1 GB. And these are 2 GB blocks, so the system has a total of 5 GB, which is way less than I had thought that it would have. So 2 cores and 5 gigs of memory. Actually not that impressive. Probably expensive as hell anyway. So I pull out the interesting of the 2 cards here. The 10 gigabit Ethernet card, 10 gigabit CNA. So 2 ports of 10 gigabits. It's a QLogic, and it's the QLogic QLA8152 that is in here. So and that slides in the side here, and you have to hit the PCI connector down there like that. On the back here, first we have the first power supply over here, and it takes 220 volts. I don't know if I didn't read if it takes 110. I would guess so. Should we? No, let's not check that. It has 2 SAS ports, and these are 6 gigabit SAS ports. Well, the cables look like, here is a cable for that. At least it fits, and I'm guessing that it would probably also work. This is actually a 40 gigabit uplink port, but it fits in those ports. You kind of just push it in and it clicks very nicely. If you do it right. That was upside down. There. And this is meant for connecting over to the storage boxes. If we just fast see the storage boxes, they have these connectors, and that's how the disk controller connects storage wise with the storage controller. Then there is, well, there's 2 of those. Then there is these ports. These are interconnect fiber optic 4 gigabit interconnect cables between boxes like this. This is 1 box, and if we have 1 more box, we would have to connect them with these cables, 1 from each of these ports down to the 2 next one, and there's 2 for redundancy. The next ones are fiber optic ports, regular ones, 4 gigabits, and they are for connecting to a storage unit like the one right beneath it. If we go down, we can actually see that these ports has the same symbol on it there, and that would be how to connect the box up here to a storage box like that. So that is what they're for. Then we have a couple of 1 gigabit network connections. These are rather regular network cards. These one are rather regular fiber optic ports. The fiber optic port, I'm not sure if you could uplink these to a fiber optic switch and also link them to a fiber optic storage unit. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments, because probably a lot of you know a lot more about this unit than I do. Then there is 2 ports for management. One that is open-ish and one that is locked down. I'm not sure what that is all about, but it's definitely both of them are managed ports. Then we have a serial connection. We have a USB port there and a serial connection. And I actually got a converter for that. So we have a regular RJ45 connector there, and we have a serial connector, and you communicate with the box on 9600 baud, and that's for there. Then we have a battery icon. I'm guessing if the internal battery is not that great, that will light up, and well, some other problem. Then over here we have the two expansion ports, which is occupied by the gigabit Ethernet card with 2 ports, and this card, which was the 4-port HBA card, and they are also 4 gigabit fiber optic ports. And the second power supply, and it does say 100 volts to 240 volts. So this unit would also work in the United States, I'm guessing, on those power supplies. Awesome. Down here we have the storage unit, the fiber optic drives. It also has 2 power supplies, rather big ones, 440 watts each. We can actually see the backplanes in there. If we look in there, we can actually see the backplanes of the hard drives. So there is just the box more or less just consists of a big PCB dividing the drives and the electronics on the back. So there is next to nothing in there that can break. This one has a couple of capacitors and some power regulators over here. Now the lights switched up. Come on, light. There. It has a little bit of electronic over there, and a few capacitors I see. But otherwise, that's a pretty normal way to make a box that is not supposed to break down. Scoot this back in. And it has another power supply on the other side. In the middle there is a couple of, let's see, controller boxes, long ones. And that's the electronic to control the disk array, the SAS controller. Probably there is a SAS expander on here. No, that's not SAS. Okay. Kind of the network, the fiber optic network controller. See on the back here we have 2 ports for fiber optic beeps, and we have the controller board, and it's a redundant solution where we have another one as well, and we have something in the middle. Let's take the other one out. Okay, we have a little bit of electronic there in the middle where we can select which shelf this is. Do we have? That's a button. Okay, so if there's something wrong with it, it can apparently complain, and then you can press the button to make it shut up. And you can select the speed that you're running, all the way down from 1 gigabit to 2 or 4. I'm not sure if that's the drives in them, if the drives are 1 gigabit, 2 gigabit or 4 gigabits, or if it's just this electronics, but never mind. So this is the back of the other storage units, and these are called the DS4243. So rather large power supplies, 580 watts, and they're from 2011, and they can also make from 100 volts to 240 volts into whatever power they need. The top box of these has 4 power supplies, the bottom one has just 2 power supplies, and then it has some fillers just to make sure that the airflow is correct. These boxes seems to be 2U boxes that has been expanded into a 4-unit system. So it's like it has had room for 12 disks, but then they have chosen to make another one so that it's actually a 24 disk unit instead of a 12 disk unit. And it has these controller boards up here. I'm afraid that they're pretty well sealed, so we can't see much. We can kind of peek in there a little bit. There is a CPU, but we can have a look inside, and there is a backplane in there. Stick the camera in, yeah, and it lights up. So it's just some connections, and cool. Not much. The unit has some ports. These ports are the SAS connectors, and they're for the data. Even though this is one box, you still daisy change connections inside the box on the back here, and have one connection going off to the RAID controller or SAN controller. Then there is some networking cables over here, or RJ45 cables, and that is for controlling the different boxes, and it's kind of the same thing, that you daisy change those to be able to communicate with the whole entire box. That was kind of an overview of this equipment. It is becoming rather old, 2010, been there, done that, 7 years ago, right? And I also believe that this is getting to be the old way of doing stuff. Having a dedicated controller for managing your SAN. Nowadays it's getting more popular to be using hyperconverged storage, where you actually have your hosts. It could be VMware, it could be whatever else virtualization system underneath, and then the disk drives in front of that. That's your storage, and together with other servers and hosts, all that storage is being put together in one big pool, and that's the storage that you're using. If you really need more storage than that, well, you can have boxes like this connected to your hosts. So you could have 10 hosts, and each of them would have a storage unit like this, so that the workload of managing the storage would be divided out to the 10 hosts. I do believe that's a better way of doing it. A dedicated controller like this uses a lot of power. It has a lot of connectivity, and it has a lot of problems when it breaks down. It's always a problem when something breaks down. Fiber optic drives, well, they're not really used anymore. Flash drives really kicked those in the ball sack, because the real advantage of the fiber optic drives was that they could do more IOs than SATA and SAS drives. The SAS drives, it's kind of the same story. You don't really use SAS drives anymore because you have flash drives, and flash is often as cheap as SAS drives nowadays. The only thing that still has a little bit of life in it is SATA drives, because of their size. Like 10 terabytes of SATA drive is still very expensive in flash. We are getting there. I think that in about 2 years from now we will have big flash drives that are less expensive than spinning disk SATA drives. We are already getting there, one small step at a time. But I do believe that the manufacturers want to squeeze every dime out of us, so they will be lowering the price slowly to make us pay. I'm a bit unsure of what I should do with this storage system, because I do believe that it will be using way too much power in its current configuration for my needs. Yeah, I am wondering a lot about that, what to do with it. If you have any good suggestions on what I could use this for, how I could use it, I'm interested in if these boxes can be used with other stuff than this controller. If I could plug in a regular SAS RAID controller in a regular server and use these boxes for that, that would be awesome. And then not use the controller for that. I like that idea. But, well, leave it down in the comments below. Thank you. And thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again. And have a really nice day. Bye bye.